The San Francisco 49ers are right in the middle of one of the most intense weeks of the season, and everything about this preparation feels different when you know what is at stake. After stepping off the practice field, the focus is fully locked on the upcoming divisional round clash against the Seattle Seahawks, a Saturday night battle on the road with a direct path to the NFC Championship game hanging in the balance. This is the kind of matchup that defines seasons and legacies, where every rep in practice carries extra weight and every injury update feels magnified. The atmosphere around the team right now reflects that urgency. There is a clear sense that the coaching staff and players understand how thin the margin for error is at this stage. Seattle presents a familiar opponent, one that knows San Francisco well, and that familiarity adds another layer of complexity. Win this game, and the 49ers move one step closer to competing for a Super Bowl appearance on their home field. Lose, and the season ends abruptly. That reality has sharpened the energy across the roster. One of the biggest storylines coming out of practice revolves around the injury report, which offered both concern and optimism. In the secondary, the absence of Jair Brown from practice due to a hamstring issue was not surprising, but it is significant. His status makes it increasingly unlikely that he will be available for Saturday, and that explains the recent roster move to add depth at the safety position. San Francisco values versatility and athleticism in the defensive backfield, and the addition reflects a desire to be prepared for every possible scenario against a Seattle offense that can test coverage discipline. The projected safety combination on the back end continues to take shape, and there is growing confidence in the young players being asked to step into meaningful roles. The rookie out of Kansas State has already shown poise in high-pressure situations, particularly in the previous matchup against Philadelphia, where his instincts and tackling stood out. Pairing that with the physical presence and energy of Malik Mustafa creates a duo that may not be seasoned, but certainly is not lacking confidence or intensity. On the offensive side of the ball, there was an encouraging development involving Jacob Cowing. After dealing with a hamstring injury, he was a full participant in practice, which signals real progress. While expectations should remain realistic regarding his immediate role, his speed element adds a dimension that this offense can always use. Even if his snaps are limited, the mere threat of his explosiveness forces defenses to account for it, especially in design plays that emphasize quick touches and space. The linebacker situation remains another area to monitor closely. Luke Gifford did not practice due to a quad issue, which could once again push Eric Kendricks and Garrett Wallow into prominent roles. What they showed in their previous appearance was nothing short of impressive given the circumstances. Both players were brought in late in the season, yet they played with the awareness and confidence of longtime starters. Their ability to diagnose plays quickly and communicate adjustments helped stabilize the defense, and their veteran presence was evident on every snap. Eric Kendricks, in particular, stood out with his effectiveness in coverage and his reliability against the run. For a player who had not started a game since his time in Dallas, the transition was seamless. Garrett Wallow matched that effort with range and physicality, proving he could handle the speed of a playoff environment. Together, they missed very few tackles and consistently put themselves in the right position, which speaks volumes about preparation and football intelligence. Several other key players were limited in practice, including Yetur Gross-Matos and Ricky Pearsall, both dealing with knee issues. Pearsall's situation is especially intriguing because of what he brings to the offense when healthy. Watching him move during practice, there were positive signs. He was able to accelerate, decelerate, and make controlled cuts, all critical indicators for a wide receiver coming off a knee injury. He caught passes cleanly and appeared comfortable within the flow of drills, suggesting his confidence is returning. Pearsall himself has expressed that he expects to play, and that belief matters. Knee injuries, particularly involving ligament stability, can be unpredictable. A player might feel ready one moment and experience a setback the next. His confidence indicates trust in the recovery process and in how his body is responding. It also brings back memories of his earlier performance against Seattle, where he delivered a clutch outing and surpassed 100 receiving yards, making critical plays when the offense needed them most. If Purdy is able to go, the ripple effect on the roster is significant. It allows the 49ers to lean on their top receiving options without stretching the depth chart too thin. That balance helps not only the offense, but also special teams and overall roster flexibility, areas that become increasingly important in postseason football when injuries accumulate and every active spot matters. Perhaps the most astonishing development of the day, however, centered on Fred Warner. Seeing him on the practice field, participating in drills, and moving with noticeable fluidity was something that few would have predicted just weeks ago. Coming back from a broken and dislocated ankle is no small feat, especially within the same season. Yet there he was, cutting, running, and engaging with intensity that looked remarkably close to game speed. What stood out most was not just his movement, but his demeanor. Warner looked energized, focused, and fully engaged, the way he always does when he is preparing to compete. Watching him punch the sled and interact with teammates made it clear that this was not a symbolic appearance. This was a player actively pushing himself, testing his limits, and demonstrating leadership simply by being present. Officially, his status remains day-to-day, and there are still medical checkpoints that must be cleared before he can return to game action. Warner himself has been transparent about that process, emphasizing that everything has been guided by medical input and scientific benchmarks. He understands the violent nature of the sport and has made it clear that he would not put himself at unnecessary risk. That mindset reflects his professionalism and why he is so respected within the organization. The possibility of Warner playing on Saturday, while not guaranteed, no longer feels unrealistic. The fact that his practice window is open and that he is moving this well at this stage is remarkable. It also sends a powerful message to the rest of the locker room. His presence alone elevates the defense, both emotionally and strategically. He is the heartbeat of that unit, the player who sets the standard with preparation, communication, and relentless effort. Adding to the positive momentum was the full participation of Trent Williams. His impact on the offensive line cannot be overstated. When he is on the field, the entire unit performs at a higher level. His strength, technique, and leadership transform the running game and provide stability in pass protection. The difference was evident when comparing performances with and without him earlier in the season, particularly against Seattle. Against the Seahawks with Williams in the lineup, the running game found rhythm and efficiency, consistently gaining chunk yardage. Without him, those same matchups became a struggle, exposing vulnerabilities and limiting offensive balance. Having him healthy and fully involved heading into this playoff game changes the complexion of the offense and forces Seattle to adjust its defensive approach. As attention shifts briefly to the Seahawks' injury situation, there are developments worth monitoring. Their standout pass rusher appeared on the injury report with an Achilles issue earlier in the week, which initially raised concern. His return to full participation in practice is a positive sign for Seattle, suggesting he will likely be available. On the offensive line, however, there is some uncertainty surrounding their left tackle, who was limited after previously being a full participant. His status could have major implications given the importance of protecting the quarterback against San Francisco's pass rush. All of these details combine to paint a picture of a team navigating the delicate balance between health, preparation, and urgency. Every practice rep, every medical update, and every personnel decision feeds into the larger goal of being ready when kickoff arrives. The 49ers are dealing with adversity, but they're also showing resilience and depth, qualities that often define deep playoff runs. As this week continues to unfold, the emotional pulse of the locker room feels just as important as the physical preparation. This is the stage of the season where belief starts to matter as much as scheme, and the 49ers are clearly feeding off the possibility of getting key leaders back on the field. Every player understands that this matchup in Seattle is not just another game against a division rival, but a defining moment that could reshape how this season is remembered. Defensively, the potential return of Fred Warner changes the entire conversation. Even if his role were to be limited, his presence alone alters how the defense communicates and aligns. Warner is the kind of linebacker who sees the field 2 steps ahead, directing traffic before the snap and reacting instantly once the play unfolds. His instincts allow others to play faster, and that ripple effect is hard to quantify but easy to see when watching the defense operate as a unit. The coaching staff, meanwhile, faces a delicate decision. Balancing long-term health with short-term opportunity is never simple, especially when the opportunity is a chance to advance toward a championship game. The messaging around Warner has been consistent and cautious, emphasizing readiness over emotion. Still, seeing how comfortable he looked during practice only fuels speculation about how close he truly is to returning. It also reinforces the trust the organization has in its medical process and in the player himself to be honest about what his body can handle. Along the defensive front, the energy has been noticeably elevated. Limited participation from players dealing with knee and groin issues is not ideal, but it is manageable at this point in the season. What matters most is trajectory, and several of those players appear to be trending in the right direction. Even rotational contributors become critical in playoff games, where a single series can swing momentum and fatigue accumulates quickly. Keion White's involvement, even on a limited basis, adds juice to the pass rush. His ability to collapse the pocket was evident in the previous game, and that kind of pressure is essential against a quarterback who thrives when given time. The emphasis this week has been on maintaining disciplined rush lanes while still playing aggressively, a balance that will be tested by Seattle's offensive design and movement. Offensively, the focus remains on rhythm and efficiency. With Trent Williams fully back in the mix, there is renewed confidence in the run game. His presence allows the play callers to open up the playbook, knowing that the edge can be secured and that combination blocks have a higher chance of success. Running behind him not only produces better numbers, but also wears down opposing defenses, setting up play-action opportunities later in the game. The offensive line as a whole benefits from Williams' leadership. Communication improves, protections become cleaner, and younger players gain confidence lining up next to one of the most respected linemen in the league. That stability is especially valuable in a hostile road environment, where crowd noise and defensive movement can create confusion if communication breaks down. The receiving core also stands at an interesting crossroads. Ricky Pearsall's potential availability introduces flexibility and depth that the offense sorely needs at this stage. His route running and ability to create separation give the quarterback reliable options on critical downs. More importantly, his confidence in his knee suggests that he trusts his cuts and his ability to absorb contact, both of which are non-negotiable for a wide receiver operating over the middle of the field. If Pearsall can replicate anything close to his previous success against Seattle, it forces the defense to respect him as more than just a complementary piece. That opens space for others and prevents opponents from overloading coverage toward the top targets. It also reduces the need to rely heavily on depth players for extended snaps, preserving freshness and minimizing exposure. Jacob Cowing's progression adds another layer to that conversation. Even if his role is limited to specific packages, his speed demands attention. Defenses have to account for motion, jet action, and quick screens when he is on the field. That hesitation, even for a split second, can be the difference between a modest gain and an explosive play. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are growing louder in San Francisco as the 49ers find themselves at the center of what some are calling a potential locker room storm. The trigger? Brock Purdy, the team's young and rising quarterback, and his ongoing contract discussions. But it's not just the negotiations themselves making headlines. It's the reaction from one of the team's star offensive players that has fans and pundits talking. Earlier this week, an influential figure in the 49ers attack reportedly liked a social media post criticizing Purdy's contract situation. The post, which questioned the fairness and timing of his deal, sparked an immediate reaction online. Fans were quick to interpret the act as more than casual scrolling, In the world of professional sports, every like is under a microscope, and loyalty, or perceived lack thereof, can become a headline in its own right. The internet was unforgiving. Memes, hot takes, and heated debates erupted within hours, painting a picture of division in a team that has prided itself on cohesion. While some insiders caution against reading too much into a single digital gesture, the timing couldn't be more sensitive. Purdy, who has become a symbol of the franchise's future, has had his fair share of critics and supporters. Now, with social media amplifying every nuance, even a seemingly minor endorsement of criticism can be magnified into a story about internal strife. For fans, the optics are hard to ignore. Questions about trust, team chemistry, and locker room politics are swirling, feeding speculation about whether this is an isolated lapse in judgment or the first sign of a deeper rift. The 49ers organization has remained tight-lipped, and players have not commented publicly, leaving the rumor mill to churn at full speed. Sports analysts are debating the potential impact on Purdy's focus, team morale, and the dynamics between the offensive line, coaching staff, and star players. Could this be a fleeting social media controversy, quickly forgotten after a win? Or is it the start of a real internal clash, one that might force the franchise to address not only contracts but also loyalty and respect within its ranks? In the fast-moving world of the NFL, where every gesture is scrutinized and every story has a half-life measured in tweets, the 49ers now find themselves in a narrative they didn't script. Fans will be watching closely, hoping that chemistry on the field can withstand the storm brewing off it, and wondering if Brock Purdy's contract saga is about to become more than just numbers on a page. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.